One. Excellent. Well, hi, everybody. Greetings from snowy and slushy New York City. I am coming in live from our Peerbound HQ. So I'm Sunny Manivanan, founder and CEO at Peerbound. And it is a privilege to be joined here by our customer and special guest, Kerry Wheeler, who's the Director of Product and Customer Marketing at Lattice. Kerry, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here and not as cold, Denver,
Yes.
Colorado. But yeah, excited to be here and to chat with you today.
Awesome. Well, listen, everybody, we're going to talk about flipping the advocacy funnel, and there's a couple of other, subtopics that we're going to cover as well later on in the webinar because there's just so many great things happening at Lattice, thanks to Kerry and Madison and the whole team there. So, the purpose of this webinar is to really give you a sense for how leading marketers like Kerry are using AI to elevate customer advocacy as a function and really amplify the impact of it within their organizations. So without further ado, Kerry, I will turn it over to you for a quick introduction.
Amazing. So hi, everyone. Like Sunny said, my name is Kerry. I lead our product and customer marketing teams over at Lattice. If you're not familiar with Lattice, we are what I like to call everyone's favorite HR platform. So all of your favorite things that happen at work, performance reviews, goal setting, career growth, compensation, we help teams manage that. But have been with Lattice for a little over 4 years now. Started on the product marketing side. Last year, built up our customer marketing team and now get to manage both teams and have been a customer with Purebound since last year. So really excited to be here and chat. And I see we've got Lattice on here as well, who is our mascot over at Lattice.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Kerry. And I'm happy that you noticed Lattice. I had it waving to you. Everybody meet Kerry, including Lattice, which at Peerbound across all of our customers' mascots, Lattice is in pole position, by far our favorite mascot, and possibly the only mascot, but definitely our favorite.
Companies need to have more mascots. Yeah,
Agreed,
Lattice
agreed.
has a good
Totally
one.
agree. Well, listen, let's talk about today's topics. And then, Kerry, I'll cue you in after a quick poll of the audience. So today's topics are, what do we mean by flipping the advocacy funnel? Kerry, you're going to walk us through what it used to look like to go find advocates and what it looks like now. And then we have this very fun topic of what it looks like to go from 1 Kerry to 10 Kerrys. And then finally, we're going to end on an inspirational note about really the promise of customer advocacy and customer marketing, and how do you deliver org-wide impact and do it end to end. And that's something that I think all of us are being called on to do by our leadership teams, and excited to share your story on that front as well. Okay, so let's talk about the first topic, which is flipping the advocacy funnel. Before we do that, I think we have more than 50 people in the audience already. So I want to ask the audience a very quick question, which is, look, we're all tasked with building advocacy programs. And I would love to know what's your biggest challenge today with advocacy programs. And if you can see the poll now, I would love to get your response on this over the next few seconds. So the options here are identifying advocates, getting tangible proof statements, so stories, testimonials, etc. Getting adoption by sales or customer success. Really, are your revenue teams actually using this stuff? Measuring the business impact, which certainly I've heard is a challenge for folks, but curious to hear from the audience. And then finally, hey, this is something that we're all struggling with, is can we manufacture more time in the week? How do you find the time to go source and activate advocates? And is that your biggest challenge? So I will give everybody maybe 10 more seconds, and then we will show what the results were in the poll.
Christine, I feel you in the chat that it's hard to pick just one. Luckily, we're going to talk about a lot of these today.
Yeah. And you can just go to the poll tab that's right next to chat and messages and submit your answer. And I think we have enough responses now. So let me see what the answers are. Okay. So 17 votes for measuring business impact, clear number one. followed by finding time to source and activate advocates. Oh my goodness, yeah, totally empathize with that, and I think we're all on the same boat there. And then tied for third is identifying advocates and getting tangible proof statements. So Kerry, I know you're going to cover at least some of these topics today, so let's get right into it. But it was nice to get a pulse of the audience before we get into the content. So let's talk about flipping the advocacy funnel first, Kerry. Tell us a little bit about what it was like at Lattice, let's say a year ago, or even longer ago, sort of before we started working together.
Yeah. So I'm sure all the customer marketers in the audience can probably agree or empathize with this, especially before pre-AI times. But where we started at Lattice with customer marketing and advocacy, it was super manual, and it was very much a reactive process of, okay, we know we have this new product or feature launching and we're going to want to get quotes for it. How do we make that work? Or we have some great logos who just came on as clients. How do we follow them for 6 months, 12 months, and then get them as a story? It was a lot of just thinking about like pulling through Salesforce data, through new deals, things like that. And mostly just looking for people who would maybe be a good fit. And we think that they could be a good fit, and trying to look at the data that we had, health scores, tenure, what products that they used. But it was always really hard when we'd try and find those people. Then you reach out and maybe they don't have the use case that they are hoping that they have, or you don't have a lot of data, or you don't hear back from them when you reach out for that proof or for a story. So it was a lot of manual work, a lot of trying and failing, trying and maybe succeeding, but not succeeding in the right way. You're not getting exactly what you want. So it was really tough. And then on top of that, a lot of sales and customer success also just flooding us with questions around, do we have a case study for this? Do we have a quote around this? Do we have a customer reference who can help support this? And again, trying to go through and pull the best cases from the data that we had, but was never a perfect understanding of, do these people actually satisfy the needs that our sales or customer teams need, or that we need from what we're trying to build from a customer story perspective or proof perspective. So very tough, to put it that way.
Totally. Yeah. And thanks for sharing that. And, I think so much of this resonates with me, and I'm sure our audience as well, especially the part where you said, hey, we don't quite know what we're going to get out of these things. And so as a result, if your business is really your internal customer, you're not quite sure you're delivering what your business needs at any given point. You are doing a ton of work to get even that. So I think a lot of folks are in that position even today. So let's talk a little bit, Kerry, about how is it going now, and what's your process like, and how did you flip the funnel?
Yeah. So now, and since I kind of joined and took over customer marketing here, we started looking at, okay, again, pre-state what we were talking about, really reactive, and a lot of building like really fluffy case studies and proof that sounded nice, but weren't necessarily helping our business objectives. And then once we were able to bring in Purebound, it allowed us to actually dig in and have these, eyes into what our customers were saying across all of our different touch points with sales and CX, and really get an understanding of, okay, we know that we have this new product coming out. Can we look and see what customers have been talking about this already, or have mentioned this already? Or we want to lean into and build some stories around how teams are doing good habits with Lattice. We can go in and see who's actually already doing this within our customer base and who's talking about that. So it allowed us to find a lot higher quality advocates and people who are already doing the things that we need, and start with the evidence there versus trying to start with the what we want and try to fit people into that. So gave us insight into what was going on there at the top of funnel. And then from there, we know these customers are already a fan of Lattice. They're already a big advocate in different avenues. So it was a lot easier to then go either directly to them through Purebound and ask for quote approval and start the conversation that way, or to go to the account manager and say, hey, we know these people are having success already with this key use case. Would you mind connecting us to them so they can talk more? And from there, we had less of the back and forth of, reaching out and maybe getting ghosted or getting a no, but rather because we were starting with folks who already love and are talking about the success that they've had, where they were eager to chat with us as well. So when we did make that initial outreach, again, either through the account manager or directly through PeerBound, we had a lot higher success rate of people being enthusiastic to share their quotes or share their stories as well. And then from there as well, especially when we get maybe a quote approved, it would open the door if we wanted to do a customer interview, if we wanted to bring them into deeper customer research interviews for new products that were coming out and things like that.
Awesome. Love that. It seems like you've really, got X-ray vision into your customer base, and you can go be much more thoughtful in what you need to do next.
Exactly. It reduced so much of the friction, I think, that customer marketers often feel of trying to do just our jobs of finding this content. So it really allowed us to get time back and create much better quality content that aligns directly with what the business wants and needs.
Totally. And you just have so much more autonomy, right? And just what you want to do, and you can go get it done, instead of having to rely on others or having to ask for favors from others, which I think is a really important transition.
Yeah, we weren't having to like twiddle our thumbs and wait and hope and pray that someone was gonna, reach back out to us, or someone was magically gonna fall from the sky who fits what we needed. So it was really, really nice.
Totally. Well, I love your example on this front, and I always like talking about specific stories. So in this case, I know one of your customers is LiveRamp, and you wanted to build a relationship for a specific business need. So let's talk a little bit. I'm going to skip to the next slide now, and have you tell us a little bit about what were you trying to do with LiveRamp, and how did your new workflow help you do that?
Yeah. So last year, we were getting ready to announce a partnership with Workday, who is an HRIS system that now partners with Lattice. But we were getting ready to announce this partnership, and to help with the announcement and the launch there, we wanted to highlight some customers who were already using Workday and Lattice really well together and finding success there. So rather than, again, having to just crawl through our own HRIS system and see who all was using Workday and kind of guess from there, we actually were able to go straight into PeerBound to make this happen, and help us not only uncover quotes and a story with them, but also bring them in deeper into the product and integration that we were building.
Okay, let's go a little bit deeper into the next slide. And so what did this look like? How did you actually, what were you looking for, and walk us through that?
Yeah, so super simple start. Truly just went into, as soon as we heard this news was coming, was able to go straight into PeerBound and just searched for folks who were already talking about Workday and Lattice together. And from there, again, we're able to find a few happy customers, but targeted it down. We know we wanted to have a larger enterprise company who is using us. That's our target audience for this integration. So I was able to use filters, narrow it down, and then came across LiveRamp and our customers there saying some great things about how they were using Workday and Lattice together. So was able to start the outreach just by taking this quote and sending it through PeerBound and asking for their approval. And that kicked off the conversation with them and got us talking with them.
Awesome. And how did you involve the CSM in this case? Because you wanted to do outreach to LiveRamp, you identify a good customer. What did that look like now for you?
Yeah. So for this, basically we were able to share these quotes back with the account manager, the CSM, and just got their quick approval of, hey, this seems like a really good fit customer for what we're planning on building and announcing. Here are some things of what they've said. Would you be comfortable with us reaching out and having this partnership? And it made it really easy on them as well. CSMs have so much, they're working a huge book. So they're not going to remember every single thing that's been said with their customers, but made it really easy to get their buy-in as well, to kickstart the conversation.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, let me get to the, you found this customer, you have invited them. Where does this go from here?
Yeah. So after we got approval for the initial quote, we then just kept the conversation going and asked, one step further if they would be willing to turn this into a full customer story and speak with us, which they were excited to do. And again, that gives us going through PeerBound and already knowing that they were saying great things and having a lot of success with Lattice made that, I think, an easy get, because we felt confident there already. So open the door. And then we're able to get a broader story where we used pure-bound quotes that we had already taken to build the foundation and scaffolding for that story, and then met with the customer to build it out a bit more. And then after that story was published, we then invited them to actually join our beta program to test this new integration with Workday, which has been great to be able to partner with them and to have them continue to champion this innovation that we're working on.
Awesome. And Kerry, I have a question from the audience of, hey, the question was, what channels does Peerbound crawl to find these types of quotes? So perhaps you can tell us, where did those quotes come from originally? Like, do you remember what the channel was?
Yeah, so we use Gong at Lattice, but these came from, I believe, some of the CSM conversations with LiveRamp. So it came directly from there.
Awesome. And you're also bringing in your G2 reviews as well as all of your existing stories and any other quotes that you want to bring in. So those are some of the channels that Peerbound is looking at, in addition to others, to go find these types of signals from your customer base.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, listen, I want to talk a little bit about, how did this end up for you? So you started off, you were like, hey, I just want a customer. But then that customer relationship, once you found LiveRamp, and in this case, Steven at LiveRamp, that turned into a quote approval, a case study, and a beta integration partner. So that is, you're now going well beyond traditional customer marketing, purview, and now you're finding beta integration partners for your company. So tell us about that, and what's that relationship like now?
Yeah, I think it's really nice because our customer and product marketing teams live under the same umbrella, that we have a really easy partnership there to help support. So it has been nice. We are big beta testers at Lattice. So it is a core piece of how we release products here, pretty standard, especially for some of our larger products. So having the connection between customer marketing, who's able to, again, and I say customer marketing, but our product marketers have access to Peerbound. Most people on our marketing team have access to Peerbound, can go in here and search. And again, look for people who have either mentioned in calls that they're wanting a specific feature, have talked around some different use cases that we're looking to beta test, to then reach out to them. And I think it gives a really nice touch to our customer experience. It ensures that our customers not just are heard, but really listened to and remembered. I think it adds a delightful touch with really, it's not much work on our end because Peerbound can surface it in about a second after we do that search. So it's been really nice, and then allows us to, during the beta period, when we're on those calls, things there to easily collect quotes as well. So it makes the process really seamless, but also delightful for our customers without too much extra work on our ends. I remember pre-Peerbound, there's a lot more work involved here of, you're recording your calls, you're going back and listening, and then you're having to go back out and request quotes and things there. But it's made it a lot easier for our teams here.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love this story for so many reasons. I think one of our beliefs is for sure that, customer marketing is going to be one of the big winners of AI. And just the amount of intelligence that is available to this function now, thanks to AI, means that you can go build relationships very strategically, and you can actually empower other teams within your company, which we're going to talk about later. And I just love this example of you going all the way and saying, okay, I'm actually not just going to go get a quote approved or write a case study, but I'm going to help the other parts of the company, advance the business forward at a critical time on what is a very important partnership for Lattice.
Exactly. And I think that's where the strategic part of customer marketing really gets seen, when we start to provide value to EPD teams, all these other folks, versus just, turning out case studies, which are still great, but being able to interact and bring these insights across everyone else really solidifies customer marketing as a great partner there.
Totally. And, that is one of the things I'm excited about with AI is I think the last generation of software in many ways created more silos between departments, because departments buy software, right? It comes out of a department head's budget. And now I think with the newer generation, we're saying, look, like you can have more users. There's no limits, on how many users you can have in Peerbound. We want this information to go everywhere. We just want to build, help you build a better company and have you be at the forefront of this. And I think there's a lot of cool things that are going to happen in the future. But let's go on to the next topic. we had a lot of fun with the image that folks are about to see, but the topic is 1 Kerry to 10 Kerrys. And this is what we came up with.
I meant to bring my glasses so I could do, an outfit change and be another
Yeah,
Kerry.
glasses, a cup of coffee,
And
um,
actually a water
and
bottle.
maybe that will be your speaker gift after this is just glasses, a cup of coffee, the headset, and maybe, I don't know, it looks like a notepad. But you know, this is, I think, a nice, easy way to help folks understand, and certainly this is how I think about it, is how many of you can Lattice get impact from at any given moment. And I think many customer marketers in the audience will resonate with this. You are already doing 10 jobs, and this function has always done 10 jobs, and the number of jobs definitely does not seem to be decreasing. And I think we are acknowledging that reality and just saying, look, you're going to keep getting asked to do 10 things, but there's no way, any person can go context switch across all these 10 different areas. So can we go get you some help and have people doing things where you cannot be? But anyway, Kerry, sorry to talk about this more, but go ahead.
No, I mean it's so true. And again, I think everyone on this call has felt this way at some point. You're getting pings from 10 million sales reps asking for different, customer references in different segments. You're getting asked to write and find customer quotes to support this upcoming launch and this. There's so much going on. And so being able to automate some of this and allow some of this to be self-serve. I think we'll talk about the Slack integration in a little bit, so I'm getting ahead of myself. But the PureBound Slack integration, I cannot speak highly enough. It was the first thing we launched with PureBound and truly became 1 Kerry, who is just dedicated to answering Slack questions. And I'm so thankful for it. But there's so much that needs to be done by customer marketers, and usually in short turnaround times as well. So being able to have AI that can help allow you to be in 10 places at once has been really nice.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about one of the, a couple of these Kerrys. So we'll talk about the, AI Kerry that brings you all these proof points, from every customer call. Tell us a little bit about this slide. You've shared some examples here from your real customers. What's the impact of this, and how does this even work for those who may not be familiar with, how this works in PureBound?
Yeah. So basically, for those who aren't familiar, PureBound, you have two ways to access this. So either directly through like purebound.com, the web function of being able to go and see moments flowing in that relate to different use cases, from first use cases, business impact, ROI, support success, things there. You can see an ever running feed of some of those best moments and best proof that's available. But then also through the Slack channel that I mentioned, our sales team, our customer teams can go in and be like, hey, do we have a quote from someone who's 1,000 employees based in Europe, using our goals product, but specifically for OKRs? They can get incredibly detailed. And then use that to actually surface. PureBound will crawl through and be able to surface quotes or stories that relate exactly to that criteria, which is incredibly helpful. And so this is, again, helpful for sales and customers to get that, customer teams to get that proof, but also for even our content team. We'll use this for use cases as well. When we're looking for event speakers, we'll be able to go through and look through, again, who's already talking about some of these topics. And then, like I said, product as well. This can inform what our EPD teams are doing or building, or who may be a good person to participate in a beta or to reach out for customer research.
Awesome. And yeah, this is just a small group of AI Kerrys who are just going in and listening to every call. And I had a question in the audience from Megan, where she's asking, hey, how is this different from searching in Gong directly? And Kerry, would love to hear your thoughts. I know how we think about this, but would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. So Gong search was my bread and butter for a very long time. And so I think the way it differs is how specific you can get. I found with Gong, some of the filters maybe weren't as robust as I needed them to be, and maybe that just depends on our setup of Gong. But then I found that the search, I was still having to dig through transcripts. So, maybe it was looking for AI or people talking about AI, but it's hard to get really specific of maybe a use case there. And so I would, search AI and Gong. It pulls up 10 million references of AI, but either it's AI just in a word, like it's not actually AI, or it's just a random non-related, mention of it that doesn't really support a use case. So I think it did a good job of maybe surfacing a lot related to that, but still took a lot of time to pour through and find what was actually relevant to my need for that. Whereas a Purebound can search, but I know based on how they are crawling things that they are surfacing up relevant use cases and solid use cases. It's not going to be a random mention. And so with our tagging there too, can see what use cases the conversation directly relates to. So it just made it easier. And then we have tons of filters available in Purebound too, so it can get hyper specific.
Totally. Yeah, and yeah, you totally nailed it, Kerry. And I think, the difference that we talk about and think about often at Purebound is, hey, keyword search was the last generation, and keyword search runs into the exact issues that you mentioned, that you're going to get, for every signal, you're going to get 10 noises that you're going to have to sort through to go find, what's actually right. And, even with sort of sentiment search within Gong, which I believe, call smart trackers, we do sentiment analysis for exactly the types of things that we're looking for, that we believe marketers, especially product marketers and customer marketers, are going to care about. And so our models are purpose trained and purpose built for exactly these use cases. And so when we give you the newsfeed, it is designed to be extremely high signal to noise ratio. And so most of what you see in Purebound should be relevant to you. And that's really what saves you all this time and making sure that, okay, I can just go get this done and this is correct. And then all the integrations that we have with CRM helps you filter by, type of customer that you want, types of products that, they may be using, and things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of real, purpose-built work that really tracks your customer's sentiment, more than instead of just keywords, which is what makes the difference when it comes to your experience.
Definitely. And I'll just answer Karen's question real quick too in the chat of if I need to seek approval from the customer before allowing the reps to use this info. So overall answer is yes. If we are looking to make this a public facing quote and have attribution tied to that, or like tie the customer's name and company to that, yes. And we will do that directly through Purebound. There's an option just to email the customer, and that the CSM will be CC'd on that. And they can approve directly through that, which makes it super easy. And then we'll get a notification once the quote is ready to use. So that's one avenue we can go through. There are anonymous attribution as well. So we do allow our reps to search for quotes, and they may not be approved, but it will just say from a company with 500 employees in the manufacturing industry. So we'll be anonymized there, and they can still use it that way.
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Karen. And yeah, the anonymity gets your sales reps the proof they need while also protecting your customers' privacy. And we think that strikes a good balance that protects everybody's interests. Well, let me have you share a little bit about this other group of AI carries who are reaching out to your sales team proactively with relevant proof points. So this is an example of an email. So obviously, no expectations that anybody's going to read the text. But Kerry, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on the slide?
Yeah. So these proactive proof emails basically send to our sales team after every call they do, and it analyzes their sales call with the customer that they had, the prospect attributes they had, and things that were discussed on the call. And then this proactive proof gets sent right after that call finishes to the sales rep, basically matching them with, hey, based on this call and your prospects attributes, here are some similar customers with the same demographic information or the same use case information as well. That would be great to send along or to connect them as a reference, anything like that. So it gives them a full recap of the conversation and ensures that we're baking customer marketing and the work that we're doing and the proof into every touch point. And it makes it super easy for sales. So rather than them having to come ask me or Madison on my team for proof that relates to that, we deliver it. Oh, I say we. PureBound delivers it right after the call, and just truly puts it right in their hands.
Awesome. And again, this is happening across your sales team. You set the criteria for when you want these emails to go out, for example, with Salesforce stages and things like that. Once you set it, then really the more proof that you get on the front end, you can rest assured that it's going to anywhere that it's needed to go help win these deals and establish trust with buyers.
Exactly. And it allows our reps to be more consultative as well, and to naturally and organically pull in these references, these stories, without feeling too salesy at the end of the day, but really rooting in the actual outcomes that our customers have seen.
Totally. I'll say one quick thing here, which is again why I'm so bullish about customer marketing, customer advocacy, is I think, look, we are all as consumers already getting hit with so much AI slop. And, like I'm watching videos where it was funny when, the boomers were getting faked out by all these fake AI videos and the deepfakes and so on. But now they're faking me out and, it's no longer funny. And I think we're all going to get, just there's going to be more and more and more of this stuff. And so buyers are just becoming more cautious. And I think we're all trusting our peers a lot more. When I buy something, even just for myself and for my kids, like I'm always asking other parents all the time, just because there's so many reviews, there's so many things going on out there in the world. And I think to hear from a real customer and to hear their actual experiences at a level of detail that, you can't just sort of high level, hand wave this stuff out. I think that is going to be so vital to every company. And guess which function is responsible for amplifying that? It's all of us. And I think, it's not just customer stories and reference calls anymore. I think it is like the survival of your company really depends on, how effectively you can scale your impact and go be strategic and, do all the things that your company needs from you. But I'll get off my soapbox. This is just my AI soapbox. And Kerry, would love to have you share some of the sort of, numbers behind all of this that you've just talked about.
Yeah. So again, this allows, I say myself and then Madison, who's on my team too, to be in so many more places at once. So with PureBound, we've unlocked 18,000 of these moments, which is these quotes, these use cases of how folks are using Lattice, which has given us a huge bank to tap into for, again, this customer proof, references, stories, events, you name it. But then from there with these proactive proof emails, so again, being sent to our sales team after their calls. And we're seeing almost 70% open rates across our sales team using this. And I think we have another slide coming up where you'll see some of our sales reps saying how they can't live without it. But it truly has been a game changer for our teams and really improve their sales effectiveness and the way that they show up in calls. And so with that, we've been able to attribute almost 13 million in deal value and closed won ARR directly to this customer proof that we've uncovered and been able to weave into these deals. So seeing it move the needle there and really increase our win rates and our effectiveness.
Amazing. That's cool. And well, let's talk about some of these quotes from your sales team. Do you you work very closely with these folks? Tell us what you're hearing from the field.
Yeah. So sales folks too are strapped. They're context switching a lot as well. Here are a few of the folks who participated in our pilot as well with PureBound and made it kind of a non-negotiable of like, they will not live without this. So our teams from just saving time from, again, being able to help them tell better stories throughout their calls and do a better job of showing not just, why Lattice is nice to have, but why it's actually a need to have and the impact and ROI that other customers have seen, and just bringing that directly into their hands with hyper relevant customers too. It opens them up to not just having to look at just our story bank, but gives them access to our whole customer base and the outcomes that have been seen there. So yeah, our team loves PureBound, and it's also then again selfishly help my team stop having to answer 10 million Slacks a day for questions around, again, what stories are related to this customer, things like that.
Yeah, awesome. Great stuff. Well, listen, there's a question in the audience. I won't put you on the spot. I'll cover this one first. But if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them, which is, how does PureBound compare to user evidence? And you know, I'll give folks my perspective on this first. I think one, we have a lot of respect for all the other vendors in the space. I think to build good technology is not an easy feat, and you know, I think that's number one for me. You know, number two is that we didn't set out to. The Peerbound is 2 years old. We are completely AI native, and the entire mission of this company is really how can we help this function, customer marketing, you know, help your company win. Like, how can we help you sort of help your company win by unlocking and amplifying the voice of your customers? And we saw AI as sort of a great enabler of being able to do that. And you know, to me, we have this very funny image of obviously the 1 Kerry to 10 Kerrys, but that actually is how we think about building products. And to me, so much of the last generation of software actually means that you have to do more work to make that software successful. And that is not the kind of company that we wanted to build. That's not the kind of product that we are building here. The kind of product we're building is very quick to get started. It does work for you. It maximizes the impact of everything that you work so hard to create and find and all these things. It connects you to sales. It doesn't put you on your own island where you're managing, you know, your programs and so on. It connects you much closer to sales, to the rest of the company, as you heard from Kerry. And that to me is what the future of technology, and frankly, what technology always should have been within a company. And so that's what we're building. And look, you know, if we want to talk about different approaches, you know, an AI native approach to finding customer signals would do what we are doing, which is let's go find all the stuff that already exists instead of making you go send more surveys to a customer base that one doesn't, you know, I don't know about all of you, but I don't like filling out surveys. I rarely fill out surveys. I think the average survey response rate across any survey provider of all time is like somewhere in the mid to low single digits percentage wise. So for every 100, you know, people you send a survey to, you get maybe 2 to 5 responses. And we just believe that connecting all of this to sales and being closer to the company, rather than just getting, you know, some proof points, is a big deal. And you saw this last slide where there's 18,000 plus moments discovered. And just the scale of that this is like 50x what you would get in terms of survey responses. And we think that the scale and the impact of AI is just completely changing the game. But that's, again, my perspective. Kerry, any thoughts, or do you want me to move forward?
No, I can add just a little bit. I did evaluate user evidence, also Peerbound, last year, alongside when we were evaluating Peerbound. And I think similar to what Sunny says, one, I love the team there, but it was just too much additional work. I think Peerbound really went out in the sense of it came to me, like it allowed me to have 10 more Kerrys. Whereas like Sunny is talking about user evidence required, you know, creating the surveys and then sending those out and waiting and hoping and crossing my fingers for responses. And well, I still think there's value in that. We just didn't have the time to make that happen, or the resources and bandwidth to make that happen, especially when we often need things fast, or, you know, requests come in and people want something the next day, 2 days. Peerbound gave us that ability versus having to wait for responses or a survey to be filled out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kerry. There's a question in the audience, and by the way, I do enjoy taking Q&A in the middle as we're talking about different topics. There's a question for you, Kerry, about, you know, Andrea from the HR tech space having a difficult time getting customers to agree to case studies quotes due to concerns around PII. What's your experience with this topic, if any, or any tips that you may have?
Yeah. Hello, love fellow HR tech folks. Yeah, they're definitely more risk averse. So I feel you there. I think where it's become easier, and you can kind of see a shift actually, if I doubt anyone will go back and look through our case studies, but you can see a shift where our case studies for a very long time were very surface level, because to what you're saying, Andrea, folks are scared to share kind of the deep, impactful ROI data and some of those things there. So they're a lot more fluffy. Then you'll see a shift in the last year where we've become more tangible. And I think part of that is, again, but identifying folks who are already talking about these outcomes and some of these use cases on PeerBound, it gives a signal that they're maybe a little bit more open to sharing. I will say it's never perfect. We still get the no's and things there, but by finding people who are already strong advocates of Lattice, at least by the way they're showing up on calls with us, it has opened up doors for us and made it easier to find people who are more willing to talk about that. We've also, I don't know what avenue of HR tech you're in, but we've found that we don't need to use too much PII in any of our case studies or quotes. We typically rely on retention rates, employee efficiency, career growth track rates, and like internal mobility stats. So have just looked at things that don't require maybe some of that more risky information to be shared. But ultimately, by being able to see folks who are already excited and seeing success, that has made it easier for us to find customers who are willing to share quotes and speak at events and share stories. For logos too, we also we ask it upfront when we're bringing clients on if they're willing to allow us to use their logo in marketing materials. So typically we have actually a filter in PeerBound that shows us if people have opted into allowing us to share their logo. So we'll start there with that pool as well, because it's a better signal that they're probably willing to play ball there.
Totally. Awesome. Well, listen, folks, we just have a couple of slides left, and we're going to go through those. I know we talked a lot about AI Kerrys, so I want to bring it back to OG Kerry, aka Human Kerry. We've talked a lot about firefighting forward thinking. What does that look like for you? If you had to sum this all up, tell us what your experience is now, and what do you see as the big differences?
Yeah. Again, I think I've said this a few times, but I really think it's true to how a lot of customer marketers probably feel of like having gone from trying to be manual and trying to just claw for anyone who is willing to give a quote or a story or be willing to participate in that. That's like one side of it, but also finding the folks who are actually experiencing incredibly impactful outcomes that are repeatable and that we can share across our customer base so that people can learn from that as well. So that has been a huge difference. And then also just giving us the freedom and the space now to not have to spend most of our days in Slack just answering questions, but allowing the rest of our company to self-serve and access that proof on their own, which has been incredible. Makes our lives easier, also makes their lives easier too. There's no middleman that they're waiting on. We're able to kind of democratize customer proof across the company. So that has been incredible. And then, it frees us up to really be strategic and thoughtful about the work that we're doing and how that relates to overall company objectives.
Awesome. And then last, topic is just the idea of delivering org-wide impact. And I think, Kerry, you've alluded to a few examples where you're going, clearly in the LiveRamp example, going beyond just the story and actually getting them involved in the product beta and getting yourself embedded into that process is a great example. But talk to us a little bit about how you see this function elevating everybody else at your company and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, so listed a few ways on this slide, and I'll talk to the first because I think it's one that we don't talk about enough. But the ability to just improve team morale and get people excited about what we're building, what we've recently launched, and how customers are using our platform. We have automated quotes that go into our product channels, our customer channels, things there, sharing some of our key proof moments from each week that you can see, get so many fire emojis on Slack, but really get people excited and bought in on what we're doing at the company. So that's just a baseline way of how customer marketing gets to show up and elevate the mood and get people excited and bought in there, but also being able to deliver more insight. So we're in the road mapping process right now. That's another way where PeerBound has been really helpful and allowed customer marketing to step up, where we're seeing, people, again, using specific things or asking for new use cases and being able to bring those insights directly into the road mapping process. Or again, if we're in beta programs or even if we're post-launch, using those quotes as a measure of success and impact on the launch as well. And then for our exec team, I remember the first time I got a PeerBound digest email of all of the proven moments from that week. I went directly to my boss, to our CEO, forwarded it along, and people went crazy. So again, everyone at the company, it's not just customer marketing who should be talking to customers, not just product marketing who should be talking to customers. Everyone should be able to get a glimpse into what they're saying and what's going on. And so this has been a great way to, again, share those insights and get people closer to what people are saying and the work that we're doing to improve the lives of different companies and things there with our product. And then company positioning and messaging. This is actually a big thing as we're currently refreshing this right now, actually at Lattice. And so it's been a great way to go in and can't do customer research and panels every single day. So to be able to go in and see, okay, what are our customers talking about manager effectiveness and the impact that Lattice has on that, and to be able to go in and see exactly how people are talking about that in terms of their goals, what they're looking to achieve with Lattice, or how Lattice is actually making that happen for them, has been super helpful as well. So just a lighter weight way to, again, get some voice of the customer integrated into everything we do.
It's amazing. I mean, it's super inspiring to hear your story, and just huge thank you, for coming on and sharing this with everybody. We're in Q&A session now. There already is a question. Is there a PeerBound library that AEs can go to just to browse and filter existing quotes and stories that have been created with PeerBound? I know you alluded to the Slackbot, but tell us more about how you actually solve this need that Megan asked about.
Yeah, so this library is essentially our Slackbot channel. So basically, folks can come in and ask for stories that are related to our engagement product, or can ask for, again, hyper-specific quotes based on location, size, use case, anything there. And that crawls through our entire content library. So the quotes and proof points pulled by PeerBound, the customer stories we've written and are live on our website, additional quotes that we've uploaded into PeerBound. It brings all of that together. So rather than a sales rep having to go and look on the website and then maybe look, and we used to have an Excel sheet of quotes and things like that, having to look in multiple different places, it streamlines all of those kind of content basins into one spot in the Slack channel. So folks have access to all of that. So that essentially becomes our library.
Awesome. And just to tack onto that, I think, my background is this head of product marketing at, companies that have scaled and gone public and beyond. And then later as a general manager, so leading sales teams. And over and over again, I would just see that sales reps do not like to go to places to search. And some of them may do it, but the real, they all work in Slack. They're all in Salesforce. They're, on emails all day. So Slack tends to be a really good way for them to just ask what they need, and they can do so in natural language. And PeerBound is going to go find their information and bring it to them. And you can even have follow-up conversations with it like you would with ChatGPT. And remembers what you talked about, and will get you the answers that you need. And we found that that's going to the sales reps just seems to be a much better way of actually getting adoption from the sales team. And that's what our approach has been so far. Okay. TeamSpot, Christine, TeamSpot is coming this year. So, we've talked about this, and it is still on our roadmap, and we're very excited for it. And I think, we get people asking about Teams every single week. And so I know Slack and Teams are number one and number two. I'm not actually sure who has more market share. I actually think it's Teams now. But, we are absolutely going to build that. More Q&A. I'm looking in the Q&A section, and there's a question around, can you share the process, Kerry, of how customers opt in when you need approvals in PeerBound, or how do approvals work? You touched on it a little bit, but mind sharing a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So at the very top of kind of the approval chain is when a client onboards into Lattice, they initially give us a yes or no of whether we can use their logo in marketing materials. And that's kind of the basis for how we then operate with our pool for reaching out to people, the kind of the foundational level. But then from there in PeerBound, we can filter again by people who have opted into allowing us to use their logo. But when we see a PeerBound quote or moment come through that we would like to use, It's really simple. You can just send an email directly through Peerbound. I think it's truly called just like ask for approval. And it will draft an email for us. So it will send to that customer, to the person who spoke the quote. And we'll CC your customer account manager on there as well. And it's super simple. My template says like, hey, like I love listening to customer calls, heard this on a recent one and really loved it, would love to use in our marketing materials if you're comfortable. And then from there, when the customer gets the email, they can click into it, they can edit the quote at all if they want, and then they can choose to approve it and allow us to use it, or they can choose to deny it. And so if they approve it, yay, great, we get an email, we start using it everywhere. Or if they say no, that's okay. And then it'll show in Peerbound as well that it wasn't approved for use. So it makes it really simple there and really easy to send off, a few quote approvals every week. And we have a really good success rate of getting those approved. I would say 75% of the time we end up getting approvals, again, because we're also only going through folks who have already given us logo usage as well. So we're not having to go through legal hoops or anything to try and get that approved.
Awesome. I'm going to take a couple of more questions. I know we're almost at time. And so let's see. So let me get to this list. Does it integrate with HighSpot? The answer is, if you have HighSpot and you have content in there, we can bring in those links. And so if we are responding to any questions in Slack or in these proactive proof emails, and content in HighSpot ends up being one of the answers to a prospect question or a sales question, we can absolutely link them back to HighSpot. And we do that with customers that are mutual customers with Peerbound and HighSpot or Seismic or any of those sales enablement providers. And then, is there any other question? Can we support NPS CSAT surveys to customers? In other words, making the task less daunting for customers to respond to the survey and improving the response time. We don't send surveys out of Peerbound at this time. We do bring in survey response data. So if you're already sending these NPS and CSAT surveys, we have the ability to bring those in, or frankly, any type of surveys. If you're sending that to customers, we bring those in and we organize responses by customer. And so, for example, that now becomes a signal that tells you, hey, now's a good time to reach out to a customer if they just gave you an NPS, response of a 10 out of 10, and a great quote all in the same week or the same month. That tells you, okay, here's more confidence that I have to go reach out to this customer and make a request now. But we don't send surveys out at this time, we support bringing in this data from whatever source, and we know customers use so many different survey platforms that are out there. Okay. Cool, folks. Listen, thank you so much to the 60 plus folks that came today, and thank you, Kerry, OG Kerry, human Kerry, for being with us and inspiring us with your story of how Lattice is sort of doing things in this new way, and how you're embedding customer advocacy and customer marketing into every part of the company. Super inspiring, and really grateful to you. And to everybody else, thank you so much. And we are doing a group demo of Peerbound in the near future. So we'll send you an email after this, and hopefully we'll see some of you there. But thank you very much. Bye, y'all.
Bye.